Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty much at a loss here, right? Because it's hilarious how this situation keep getting worse and worse to downright what the hell, right? That's exactly what this feels like, you know? And I don't really know where to start with this one. You know, I have notes. I've seen Joe's video on the subject, clearing up certain things that we kind of already have a guessing towards in certain directions, and confirming some awful shit, which is, you know, what I expected, but at the very same time, it's just so, the situation is so bad, right? And what this genuinely, at parts of what this feels like, it just feels like, let's just try to ruin this damn game because it's too damn good. Too many people like it, and that's kind of what a part of this feels like at times too, but that's like the minor part of this whole discussion. But obviously, if you've seen Joe's video, he says something in there that very much, pretty much, makes this whole strike feels a bit meaningless, or at least in terms of like Hoyaverse and things regarding of that. And it's the simple fact that Hoyaverse has never been struck at all. Right? There is literally deadass no reason that they've been striked out at any point. The only reason why we haven't had any English VAs whatsoever is because individual VAs have just chosen not to do the work. That's literally it. And that is so frustrating. I think he called it like a refusal to not work or whatever the hell the actual term is, but pretty much, just to keep it very much a stack, it is dead ass people just choosing not to work, which is so damn dumb. The whole time we thinking, oh, this is a strike against AI and all that type of stuff, but it's literally not. And when more people find out about this situation, and as time kind of goes on, they're going to be effing pissed. They're going to be super mad. And I don't blame them. Literally every good faith that people had towards these VAs is basically tossed out the damn window. It is literally tossed out the damn window just because of this. Now, when it comes down to it, I will, in some shape and form, give a benefit of the doubt when it comes down to maybe a reason as to why, and this is just my speculation on it, and it wouldn't be too surprising if this is the case, but I'm going to assume that there is some VAs that genuinely just want to get back to work, but the only reason why they can't is mainly because, oh, if I do and I'm part of the union or whatever, I could get blacklisted by bitch ass other people that within the damn, you know, clicky ass space, and then pretty much ruin my entirety of my union voice acting career and all that type of stuff, right? That is possibly the only reason why I can sit here and maybe be thinking, okay, some people genuinely just want to get back to it, and then there's other people that literally don't want to jeopardize their own careers, which, understandable. That being said, you kind of throwing it into jeopardy a little bit already, because people are just like, well, if you're literally not being held back to do, you know, to not necessarily go in and to do these voice lines and whatever, it's like, even if on the corporate side you be fine, on the fan side, on the, you know, consumer side of things, what this basically tells us is that, yo, a lot of these people, they ain't shit for this. And that's just kind of how it is. And all this is going to do, despite what Joe was trying to do in his video, and not really well, when it comes down to it, essentially, all this is going to do is piss people off way more, right? You thinking this might de-escalate things? No, this just makes sure things get escalated even further. And what makes this even more crazier is that when the VAs were attacking Jacob, the new Kanichi voice VA of, you know, his voice or whatever, essentially, they attacked him for no damn reason. They attacked him for literally no damn reason whatsoever. And it's like, what the absolute hell? Like, there is no reason for this shit. Like, none. All they wanted to do, and not everybody feels this exact way, but what they literally, or what SAG wants to literally do for, you know, Hoyaverse and Genshin as a whole and everything else, is just to unionize it for their own means to whatever they're gonna do with it, right? It's such a weird ass situation with so many different areas of this thing and that thing going in and out of it is it's so damn dumb. Let me look at my notes so I don't get off track on this. So the whole reason why we couldn't hear Hu Tao in literally, like, you know, the Lantern Rite event, or why we couldn't hear certain people just over the course of time, or the ruining of Nahida's birthday because people wasn't there and all that type of stuff, literally is because they just stood in solidarity to just be like, oh yeah, we're not gonna join up and do the damn work. Well, there's no reason why Genshin or Hoyaverse shouldn't replace your asses. Like, if I'm gonna be honest, again, maybe not everybody, because when it comes down to it, there is certain voices that slowly is trying to come back. There is, you know, certain people that is worth a damn, that is worth keeping, that isn't causing any trouble whatsoever, right? Because people still are like, let's get rid of the entirety of English, and I'm still like, no, because that'll be a disservice to someone like Auroron's VA, who literally did nothing wrong, and I feel that will be a bit shit. And the same way with certain other VAs that literally just want to get back to doing their jobs and work and have a fun ass time, and again, I feel like it's a bit shit to remove them. But at the very same time, the ones that literally will not budge at all and literally just talk mad shit throughout this entire time, yeah, they asses can go. They asses can very much go, and I wouldn't be that mad, right? I very much wouldn't be that mad, you know. And now it's even more of an understandable reasoning from Hoyaverse's standpoint as to why they don't really give two shits about, you know, signing that damn, you know, union agreement or whatever. Because why not just replace them? To be honest, Hoyaverse literally has not that much to lose in this situation. If they replace people, it is what it is, right? And plus, so many more people kind of tuning into this whole situation and seeing how shitty a lot of this stuff is. A lot of people are starting to not give a damn about certain people, or to not give a damn about the English side whatsoever. And it just makes them more of an easier option to just say, well, we're going to just start recasting people, because why the hell not, you know? And that's ultimately what they're going to probably starting to do, you know? And that's ultimately how it is. Granted, like, yes, you will have definitely people that probably will get replaced that don't really deserve that shit, which will most likely suck more than ever. But that being said, it's basically the whole bed that they kind of created for themselves. At least the ones that are very much terrible, that's been shown to be terrible, and just throughout this whole situation has been just legitimately assholish when it comes down to it. And then it also kind of makes me wonder too, with the whole, you know, people that may want to just hop back on Genshin, do the voices and stuff, it makes me wonder, like, they want to get back on the project. Is it because of people like Karina and, you know, people like, you know, Kaylee Mills and all that type of stuff? When it comes down to it, is it that they would snitch hard as hell to SAG and be like, oh, so I see you've been doing some bullshit. Alright, well, time to get your bitch ass out of the union, or time to find your ass, or whatever. It's so weird, right? It genuinely is. And again, kind of going back into that video of what Joe was talking about too, genuinely, it just sounds like the union needs either a restructuring of how things needs to be done, because a lot of the restrictions that you get faltered onto is just so shit. And then there is also the fact that there is so many like other aspects of it that just feel cultish as hell. Like, people were saying, oh, it's, you know, it's a bit cultish. I didn't really understand to a full extent until I watched this video, and then I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, this does genuinely feel cultish. The only question that I really would legitimately have is that when this game, if this game were to go union, what would that mean really for like other people that want to jump into Genshin, get some voice lines going and stuff like that in English? What would that mean for them? Does that just mean that English VAs completely take over that space and, you know, only American VAs can do it? Or is it going to kick out certain people, or what? Because even with this, it doesn't really, I would say, doesn't go into the absolute depths of how exactly is people going to be treated in terms of what would actually happen, you know? And that's kind of like a whole thing. And I don't even think VAs actually know. I think only SAG will actually know that answer when it comes down to it, whoever writes up the contract for that. Which, granted, I still don't want them to sign that bitch. I'll be real. I really don't want Hoyaverse to sign that union ass contract. It ain't worth it. All this quote unquote strike has done, it has literally just hoed basically one, the community, because they lied to their faces about exactly what the details of the strike really is going down with when it comes to certain things, and then it hoes their fellow co-workers and VAs to wanting to get back to work, and ultimately, you know, they could get blacklisted and get shit on by other people within that very same union for literally no reason. I'm again speculating that probably will be the case if they decide to go back and whatever, because literally anybody, if in terms of what this video has said, anybody can go back to work whenever the hell they feel like it if that's what they want to do. Ultimately, they might not though, right? Because of the bullshit clickness and all this type of stuff. And again, people be like, especially in the ending of that video too, where he's talking about like, oh, people ain't detectives, they don't know what's going on and all the information. True, we may not have all the information, but we could use past examples to understand what the hell is going on. And the internet never really forgets. Again, you had incidents where you have other VAs be assholes to other VAs, and you have a whole bunch of situations into that whole thing, and then there's just way more just examples outside of even like the whole Vic thing, where, you know, that was like a whole thing. But then there's other examples where that could be the case, where, you know, there's VAs just being straight up not the greatest people. Funimation was terrible with it, right? Hell, they screwed over a whole anime just because they didn't want to voice that shit for whatever X reason. And I mean interest future for viewers, obviously, whether you like that anime or not. That's not the point. It's the fact that they also helped screw that shit over, along with the company itself too. So, you know, there is very much that. Because right now, as I look at this situation, what this smells like to me, and again, I said it before, but I'll say it again, it just feels like some type of awkward ass social standard. When it comes down to, oh, if you're a VA and you're in the union, you have to follow what these certain people are doing, and if you don't, we'll beat your ass over it. That's what it feels like, right? You know, this is dead ass some Mafia ass type vibes, or some type of cult ass type of vibes, where it's like you do this, you read it, you love it, you smell it, and all this type of stuff, and then ultimately you can't really portray it, or you'll screw yourself over. I'm kind of curious how this whole union hasn't been like investigated in some shape and form, or whatever, because it just feels off and weird in multiple different directions. There's also plenty of a discussion in that video too, where Joe has said like, yo, Chinese companies have been, you know, a part of unions before, American unions before, and they have signed agreements and stuff like that, no problem. And then I'm like, all right, but show us the evidence. Where is the evidence for that, right? Is there a certain company you like to call out or anything like that and stuff like that? And he never did that, right? You know, even when it comes down to whatever of the smallest discussion that you might have regarding certain types of, you know, topics or whatever, you always show your evidence when it comes down to certain situations, right? That's why we trust people like a Hero Hey, because when it comes down to it, they'll cover it, show the evidence if they can find it, and then literally be a reliable source of like, okay, this what could be the case, and or this is exactly what's happening. And that's why we rely on people like that, right? Because oftentimes they usually have, you know, the information there ready for us to kind of understand what the F is happening, right? Yes, evidence could very much be, you know, changed up and stuff like that, but still they'll bring it up and still, you know, go about how they're going to talk about the topic and things like that, which is why people like him has mad respect on the internet, and not should be treated like your common, oh, average dumbass person or whatever like that, because that's not how it works. And then at the same time too, when it comes down to all this as well, it baffles me hard as hell how they gonna just gang up on, you know, Kenichi's new VA when they're all working on this shit as union, and they shouldn't be due to their own bitch ass rule. It's so weird, right? It's just like, how are you gonna tell one person he shouldn't be here and he's scabbing all that type of stuff, but at the same time you're basically kind of doing the same damn thing, right? And only enforce the rule when you feel like it. Again, rules are meant to be there for a reason. If everybody starts doing the bullshit part of that rule, then, you know, the rule don't really mean much. You can't even follow your own shit. Why the hell should be taken seriously, right? If anything, again, the whole entirety of the union needs to be restructured hard as hell. And I can't necessarily sit here and just be like, oh yeah, this is something that very much needs to be here, because no, it's kind of bullshit on all sides. And again, I don't see a reason as to why Hoyo needs to just sign it or care that damn much. And again, when it comes down to things like AI, because people will bring that up in conversation, they have taken, you know, precautions to be like, oh yeah, we're not necessarily going to do, you know, any sort of AI nonsense with people's voice. Hell, we take you to a different recording studio so that wouldn't happen. And people still just refuse to be, you know, going back to work, mainly because, oh, if it's not affecting everything that I want, then we don't care, we're not going to do it, right? Again, you people are very replaceable. You people are extremely replaceable when it comes down to it. And all this really essentially does, it just proves their point to maybe A, potentially use AI, even though I wouldn't really want that, but at the very same time, B, recast a lot of you guys, which is a very valid thing to kind of do. And then as I kind of see people on Twitter kind of still talking about it, like at least a few people, because some people are awakened to the, you know, nonsense of what's going on, but there are some people that's like, oh, they just want better benefits and better work pay. How are y'all not getting that from Joe's video? That's not what this is. At least I'm gonna start again speculating once again, and this doesn't surprise me if this is the case. Plus, this is America, because of course it is. But when it comes down to it, though, it feels like it smells of control. Really, that's what this really just smells like. Control of something in some shape and form in some way, right? And I guess it's because, oh, if we get some, and maybe again, I'm just speculating. Maybe it's because, oh, if they unionize stuff, maybe we can make some changes around here too. Maybe we can also, you know, get some people on the inside of Hoyo and start doing some weird ass changes and whatever, right? Because this is where I'm thinking too. Y'all already cooked Japan when it comes down to a lot of the modern audience and sensibilities too, trying to, you know, destroy a lot of the great works that Japan has, because you have done it and there's plenty of evidence to go about that, right? And plenty of people have covered that in the past, whether it's the credit card companies, whether it is literally just, you know, people like you know, Ubisoft that making shitty ass Assassin's Creed and all that type of stuff, and just plenty of other examples that exist out there that I'm not even really saying right now. And y'all probably thinking, oh, we could do this to China and everything is going to work in our favor. No, the hell it's not. It is not going to work in that favor, because they are not going to sit here and fold. And so you get people like Kenichi's old ass voice actor who come through, voice Kenichi, then purposely, probably, maybe purposely, try to come through and essentially just be like, yeah, I'm gonna sit on strike and just say F it. Just to kind of ruin their whole experience and all that type of stuff, just for literally no type of reason. And it's so dumb. It legitimately is. And that's where I kind of went with that point in the beginning, where I was like, this feels like some sabotage at play, because, you know, and people can very much verify this too, because when it comes down to games in the East versus the West get glazed up for all types of reasons. And no matter how shitty the product, no matter how stupid things gonna get with that situation of that game, it always will be glazed up in some shape or form. Let an Eastern game come through, too sexy characters, so much nonsense here, the developer said something racist in the past. Oh, and it's not even true, or it's like not that big of a damn deal, right? They did that with Black Myth Wukong, they did that shit with Stellar Blade. What makes you think they wouldn't do that shit with Genshin at all, in these sort of weird ass ways? Even if it's not a journalist, and even in these weird ass ways, what makes you think they couldn't necessarily try something like that? Genshin makes way too much money. In fact, they even made more money than PlayStation that one year. So you know what? Let's hoe them a little bit. Just because we can. Because we're important and all that type of stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if there's multiple factors at play. Hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if the whole damn, and again, this is, you know, speculation, and if it's not necessarily the case, then I wouldn't be surprised. But when it comes down to it though, it wouldn't surprise me with that whole fine Genshin got hit with recently. Was it somebody just snitching at the government just so they can find their asses for whatever X reason, just because they can? And it's so, once again, so damn dumb. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie too. If Hoyaverse literally want their games to be non-union so they can kind of do what they need to do, let their shit be non-union. I don't see the big ass point out of just making things union for whatever damn reason. And when it comes down to it though, you could say, oh well, there's health benefits and things of sort like that. Yes, there possibly could be, but at the very same time, you also got to look at the picture of it. And even as someone that's within the union as well, if you are in that, you got to look at it from, you know, a different type of perspective where it's like, is it worth it for them to do so? Is it worth it? Right? And then you also got to realize that when the CCP starts getting involved in stuff, much less the Chinese players know this stuff, who they gonna listen to? They certainly as hell is not going to listen to anybody on the English side. They have to basically see what they want on the Chinese side and deal with that and act accordingly, because that's really where they get their, you know, support stuff from. That shit means a lot to them over there, way more than what's happening over here, for multiple different reasons. All I'm gonna say is this when it comes down to the entirety of the situation, as far as we know now. If Hoyaverse decides to recast literally everybody that's taking a part of this whole thing and is trying to literally wait this shit out, recast them. Like, dead ass. For the people that literally just want to get back to work, get back to work. Like, I'm gonna be super honest with you. I get it, the blacklisting thing, because weird assholes in the clique, but at the very same time, I don't know if you could sue those people that are being cultish and just, you know, trying to cancel you out by blacklisting you or whatever. I don't know. But at the end of the or they're trying to shame you or something like that, or harass you if you go back to work. I don't know. But at the end of the day, after seeing all this, there's only really two options when it comes down to it. Either go back to work or sit this out. And both options are just bad on both sides for any of the VAs that are legit just wanting to do what's best, right? And essentially what ends up happening is that, well, if you go back, the VAs that are in that clique and is very much gonna, you know, be on some bull, they're pretty much gonna, you know, try to ruin your career. And then you get so many other VAs that practically, you know, want to hold out and wait out. You're gonna get recasted by, you know, somebody else, because there's always work lying ahead for somebody else to take your shit. That's ultimately how it is. And the fact that there is certain people that just straight up want to, you know, unionize the game and just, you know, try to like rally the troops in a way, try to get fans to be like, oh yeah, Hoyaverse, please sign this thing so we can get people back to work and all this type of stuff and all these sort of things. And it's like, all this shit feels like it's just being manipulative, you know, being fraudulent, being like super, you know, like lying with certain undertones, being like, I guess there's like deception, you know, no Mortal Kombat, you know, just basically trying to scheme and get over on the company for whatever reason. And it's just like, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. Again, the whole AI thing, China already has their stuff for that, right? They basically have their rules for that they can't do anything like that, because that was signed into law like last year, I think, the Beijing Internet Court. So that shit has already been sealed on that deal. And then it has proven time again, Hoyaverse has proven time again to be a pretty okay company. You know, I'm not, again, Hoyo Glazer, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, they waited out 8 months to see if they're gonna get their shit straightened out, which the company did not have to do. They could just replace everybody, but they did that anyway, just because to be, you know, just to kind of do what they needed to do. And then at the very same time, they moved certain voice actors to a whole other studio so they can, you know, not worry about the AI thing, much less continue to keep them to doing the work and all that type of stuff. It's like, what more are you asking for, right? Because clearly Hoyo is trying to do everything it can to appease you guys, but when it comes down to it, you just still, it's not good enough for whatever reason. And it's just weird. It's just weird. I can't wait to see more people talk about this topic, especially when all this stuff has come out now. right? I'm super ready to see what people are going to bring up when it comes to the table of like maybe Hero Hey or Rev or whoever covers this topic again, because this shit is just so backwards in how these VAs are going about certain things that it's not even funny, if I'm being honest. And then as again, they calling people like mad stupid for believing the YouTubers and things sort of like that, or trying to be detectives and things like that, or they're being mad toxic. Literally, none of this would have gone to this place if you didn't harass the VAs, or at least the Kadisha's VA in the beginning, and literally no one would have gone into this damn length, and this situation would not have gone to this craziness as it has. And it's so damn dumb. It is so damn dumb. And I always was thinking again, like, damn, why is it every other country is fine with their voice actors, but our country sucks dick for whatever reason? And it's not because Hoyaverse started a damn problem or caused trouble. It's because the VAs themselves wanted to cause trouble. It's because the themselves wanted to start nonsense. And anybody that basically go against them is someone that could very much be blacklisted when it comes to their careers and such. So basically, they're trying to hold everybody hostage as shit, and it's so ass. But the only thing positive that possibly could be said about the situation is that Hoyaverse is not scared over some people voicing their characters, because they could very much get replaced with other people that wants to voice their characters, right? I'd hate it for them to kind of, recast a lot of people, because that's a lot of work to go through. But at the very same time, it would not surprise me next patch we end up seeing more people getting recasted, more people getting fired, and just straight up total restructuring of how things is. New contracts being made for people that, legitimately wants to come back and wants to come through or something like that in every shape or form, and then cutting out literally every other asshole that has done nothing but cause massive damage, that caused nothing but a lot of nonsense to happen and take place for a lot of people that basically wasted not just Hoyaverse's time, but the players' time as well. We could have literally had so many good moments voiced if it wasn't for dick ass people in the clicky ass union, and the union itself being mad weird and all that type of stuff. Literally, we wouldn't necessarily suffer when it comes down to that. We just wouldn't. And once again, all this shows me is just California is a shitty ass place. Once again, California, you keep effing up in every regard, and you just keep showing you're just a shitty ass place that I wouldn't want to live in. I'm just being honest. But I'm going to leave it right there. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think about the situation. Also, inform me more information if you have any, because at the end of the day, I would like to learn more. I would very much like to see what else can be said about this topic, because it's stupid. At this point, the way shit is going, it is damn near stupid, and I don't get how this shit has gone to this point and to this far, and basically just without notice, because literally everybody in the community was like, oh, we understand, go get that shit, fixed out, all this strike stuff, we support that, we get it. Only for these people to come through and be mad liars, mad, deceitful and manipulative of the situation, and it took literally them bitching out somebody that had no reason to get bitched out at all for us to finally be like, wait a damn minute, this is some hoe shit. And that's literally what this turned out to be. That's literally what this turned out to be. So again, there is so much about this that just is annoying, and it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It just isn't. And at the same time too, also I'll say this as well quickly, but I damn near want to see what certain content creators will say. I know that there's going to be content creators that if they do talk about this topic, they're going to be like, oh, well, I don't want to say too much, so I don't, be in bad faith for some people and stuff like that. But I'll say this, I'm not going to pick a side or anything like that, because I swear, if I see some shit like that, I already know. It's just timing. It is just timing. But that's, again, all I want to say. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on the way out. Also follow my socials, and if you like on this channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. Until then, it's boy Jay, sign off. Have a blessed day.